Check if there's a bottle of water there. They told me once I could take them. So. No regular water? I have two. I have two in me then. So. What? Yeah. So the Shulchan Aruch in Shin Lamed Ches, Shulchan Aruch in Shin Lamed Ches, it brings really a din of the Gemara. It's the din of the Mishnah, the Gemara. The Hashmas called Bekli Shir Aser. Chazal aser musical sounds. I shouldn't say musical sounds, but musical instruments. They asked musical instruments, but so it seems to be they asked any, the extremity here is extreme, right? You're not allowed to use any instrument, any musical instrument, but you're allowed to be makish on the door. You're allowed to knock on the door, because it's not derech shir. It sounds like if you were to knock on the door derech shir, so then that would also be aser, dun, 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 right? If you knock on the door like that, so then that's what it says here. It seems to be it's aser. That's Shulchan Aruch Shin Lamed Ches. In Shin Lamed Ches Sif Beis. So there's a kula. What's the kula? Yesh matirin loymar le'ein Yehudi le'nagein bekli shir b'chupis. Imagine this matzah. If you have a guy and he's singing away, what's he singing? This guy have a nagila and all the Jewish songs, right? He's mamish singing away. So that's the one heter. That you have a chuppah on Shabbos. How do you have a chuppah? What's the case? You have it on Shabbos? Okay, so we'll have to talk about. But anyways, they covered abrius. We spoke last month. They couldn't make peace and whatever. So now here you are. It's Friday night. What? Come again? Yeah. I'm saying, but why? How did it get so late? Most people don't do things like that, right? How did it get so late? So we spoke last month. There was a covenant brius issue. They couldn't come to terms when it came to the monetary issue. So what did they do? The Maisa, they had the chuppah at night. Why are you going to get all these people, Mordechai ben Shweki and all these guys? They're not going to be playing instruments at night. So what do? You get the guy. And the truth is, it's not so schwer. I was told that somebody told me how did they make this a cappella music. So somebody was describing it to me. So he told me they take these chevra that if you would see them on the street, you would for sure cross, right? You for sure cross, and I would for sure cross. But and they make all these weird noises with their mouths, which I don't want to do in public, And these guys aren't Jewish; they're not Jewish b'chlal. It's not. And then they make all these weird noises, and in the background there's some Jewish kid singing. Hopefully he's Jewish. And so now instead of doing that a cappella, so they do it at the chuppahs. You get a guy on Shabbos. That's the only thing here at a chuppah you're allowed to be makel, to have these instruments. Okay, not in the gayos. Then there's Shin Lamed Tes in Siv Gimel says ein metapchen lahakvais kafel. Oh, now you're talking. Till now we saw you can't do musical instruments on Shabbos. Till now we saw you can't. Not only Chazal asked musical instruments, they asked musical sounds that come out of non-musical instruments, out of just stam instruments, musical sounds. They asked musical instruments. Then they asked musical sounds coming from an instrument, from a utensil. Right, or not a utensil, any musical sound. Now Chazal answered, "Ein metapchin lahakos kafel." You can't clap on Shabbos. Then Chazal said, and this is already a Mishnah in Beya, Daf Lamed Vav. Then Chazal say, "Loi merakdin." What does it mean? What does it mean merakdin? What does it mean? It can't be meraked. One of the Lamed Tes Malachas is you're not allowed to sift in a sifter, so it doesn't. They wouldn't write "V'loi merakdin," and what would it be doing here? In Shin Lamed Tes. So what's merakdin? Merakdin means you're not allowed to dance. Why is this a sieve? Why is one of the 39 malachas? It's called meraked. Why is it called meraked? Because that's how a sifter works, right? It dances. You dance up and down. The good stuff stays on. It goes to the bottom. The bad stuff stays on top. It doesn't. It's meraked. It dances it. So that's where it comes. So it says over here, you're not allowed to dance on Shabbos. This is a big chiddush. No? You're not allowed to dance on Shabbos. And on the side, when you look in the Ber Goyla, doesn't say what is this? This must be some strange takanas hagoinim or something. The Ber Goyla on the side, he says Mishnah Beya Daf Lamed Vav Sham Gemara. It's a Mishnah. It's a Gemara. Then it goes on and it says. Why not? You might come to fix an instrument. And not only that, like snapping your finger, right? You're not allowed to snap your fingers on Shabbos. This is like, and then this is unbelievable. Okay, then the Shulchan Aruch brings. So what do we have here after, when you add everything up? So it says Chazal Aser musical sounds al yedei an instrument, Bein Shabbos, Bein Yontif. Maybe you'll say Yontif is different, right? Over here, the Mishnah Berurah right away says Bein Shabbos, Bein Yontif. And what's the reason why? Because I might come to fix an instrument. Is it so common? Is it so common? When the guitar breaks, it's like a very common thing to just, no? It's like the easiest thing. You just go like this, no? Anybody knows how to play a guitar or a banjo or something, right? What do you just like, the easiest thing, you just go like that, right? Are you allowed to do that on Shabbos? It's Makeh B'Patish. It's Makeh B'Patish. Let's say you're playing with like your violin. Your violin, you're going back and forth. All of a sudden, you go a little bit too hard and it snaps. So what do? So you have to pull it up and you turn it around. It's not the hardest thing in the world to do. Everybody knows that. It's an easy thing to do. If you do it on Shabbos, so what's the halacha? The halacha is Yechayiv Misa. That's Makeh B'Patish. Makeh B'Patish. So Chazal were concerned. So that's why they answered this. But they didn't even stop there. They said, what's going to happen? He'll forget himself. He's in the middle of playing his violin. You hear he forgets himself. But who, Rabbi Frankel? It's an easy thing to do, no? With the guitar, no? It's an easy thing with the guitar to when you'll say you're playing that Chassidish music and stuff, right? So what happens? It's probably it's just very easy. You know how to do it probably, right? I'm saying anybody who plays the guitar, let's put it like this. When it happens, you start schwitzing and getting nervous. What's going to be with my guitar? It's just an easy thing. And you can for sure just forget yourself and go like that, right? For sure. So that's what Chazal said. And then Chazal came along and said, even a spoon on a table. You know those chavra. Everyone knows I'm talking about. Those chavra, they think they're mamish. There he is. They think he's the Gilgal of Karlbach and his wife. There he is with the spoon, with the leffel. Okay. And not only that, why that is usher? Because you're going to come to use an instrument. No, and what'll be if I use an instrument? It'll come to snap. I'll come to fix it. Chazal really believed in this. Okay, and even banging on the tables. You can hear like a spoon. I hear, a spoon. You're making mamish music and everything, right? But banging on the table. What is that, Bichlal? No, because then if you bang on the table, also you might forget yourself, etc. And not only that, it's anything, any rhythm, any beat. Now the Shulchan Aruch right away speaks out. This is only if he's using he wants to clap with a rhythm. Let's say after there's a geshmak, I don't know, probably a little bit weird, but after, let's say there's a drasha in the shul, like a really good drasha, and you start going, Gevaldik, you start clapping. Ramish Gevaldik, the Rav said Gevaldik, and you start clapping, and everybody starts clapping. So that's mutter. I'm not suggesting this, right? But it's mutter. What? Let's say after the bar mitzvah drasha and everybody wants to clap and everything. Right? Now, but let's say they start clapping with a beat, and they start clapping, that could be a problem, right? But if they're just clapping because it's a zakir drasha, or let's say you want to get everybody quiet, we got to bring it. That's mamish negei ashir also. Let's say you want to get everybody quiet, and now you take a special thing. We'll see about a special miyuchad kli we'll talk about. Let's say you take a spoon and you take ding, ding, ding. You want to get everybody quiet because the Rav wants to give his drasha. So you want to just get everybody quiet. So ding, ding, ding. So you got to do that on Shabbos. Pashas, so far we haven't seen, no. It's only, so clapping after a drasha is mutter, and ding, ding, ding is mutter to get everybody quiet for the drasha is mutter. But to make any musical sound, so far as us, are they an instrument? On this today I decided, usually I don't go this slow, but today I'm going to go slow because I just want you to realize this is mamish the din of the Gemara. Let me explain. Would anybody here, if I would come in and start talking about the other koilel, we're going to start talking about basar chalaf. I'm going to come in, I'm going to talk about taking chicken and cooking it with milk, and then eating it, You cringe at the thought. Even though Rabbi said Galili, he did, right? But you cringe at the thought of milk and chicken. It's not to be believed. Who is this? It's Kentucky Fried Chicken. Who would do such a thing? You can't even mask such a thing. And if I would come in and I would start telling you maybe like a limitz and a kula, you'd probably think he's some weird guy, and you'd run away. You'd say lashon hara about me. What are you talking about? Or let's say I would come in and I would, we just learned 96 year about muktzah. It's really 97. It was a bit of a glitch. But 97 sure. Can you imagine somebody comes in and he takes the $100 bill like we spoke about yesterday, just like, pick it up because it's a hefsid meruba, oynik Shabbos, shalom bayis, whatever, right? You think the guy's meshugana. Muksa. You remember the Vilna Gaon fainted when he picked up Muksa 97 shurim ago? What are you talking about? So the same level of fear and trepidation and pachad as when we talk about banging on the table. It's a din of the Mishnah. It's the same mission. No, Adarabba, the truth is milk and chicken, cooking and to aser milk and chicken, it is also a din of the Mishnah, that's true. But it's, it's a whole shiloh. Rabbi Yossi Galili was Mekel. There's no Rabbi Yossi Galili in Bey on Daf Lamed Vav that says you're allowed to clap. There's a Rabbi Yossi Galili in Chulin, I think it was on Kuf Yud Gimel or something. Over there, Rabbi Yossi Galili, or Kuf Tezvav, Rabbi Yossi Galili says, you're allowed to eat milk and chicken. No one should try it. You'll be out of the kollel. But there's no Rabbi Yossi Galili that comes along and says, nah, it's okay, I'm Chassidish. Rabbi Yossi Galili, nah, you could eat the milk and chicken. Yes, milk and chicken, Chassidish shechita only. Yeah, but clapping on Shabbos and dancing, chas v'shalom. Chas v'shalom, that's a din of the Mishnah. Okay? And snapping your fingers. Do you understand that when Rabbi Yossi Galili would see somebody like this on Shabbos, snapping to a beat or something else, he would probably faint. If the goyim fainted from touching muktzah, right? And we believed Rabbi Yossi Galili had far more kedusha. It was a different door, right? So then if the goyim fainted, then for sure Rabbi Yossi Galili Mistama would also faint when he would see such a thing. Because that's a din of the Gemara, that's a din of the Mishnah, as he was eating his chicken and milk burger. You understand? Everyone understands what I'm saying. Okay, so like this. So is there any heter at all? I mean, it's mamish. So the Ramah and Shin Lamechesi brings a heter. It's a peladik azach. The only heter over here that the Ramah brings down, the only heter is a heter that nobody in this room would do. Nobody in this room would do, and especially the Chassidim. Now, don't get nervous. I'm not going to be anti-Semitic during this year, but I have to bring up my point. Right? But nobody would do what I'm about to say. When I grew up, if you were caught near my bubby or any of your bubbas whistling, fifed, if you were caught fifing, what would happen? Right? You take your big Hungarian fingernails, boom, you would come out with lots of blood and nail polish. You didn't know what was hitting you over there, right? Everyone knows what I'm talking about. And why weren't you allowed to fife? You get another slap for asking the question, right? It's the only thing I tried to find out. Why you're not allowed to whistle? You're not allowed to whistle. Nothing to do with Shabbos. On a Tuesday, so by us, they told us because the Nazis fifed. Nothing to do with shadim, right? The Nazis were the shadim. I don't know, or because shadim, or because this, but nobody in this room whistles. That's none of the Jewish people, I think, right? Nobody whistles. You don't whistle, right? Sfardim is like Avia Voice Atoma, they don't whistle, right? It's the worst thing of all, no? But you guys, what? The Menal used to yell, right? Years of therapy, right? So, but comes again the Ramah, he wants to give a heter. You can feel the pain of the Ramah. You feel the pain. Rav Yossi Galili is going to be mekel on milk and chicken, so let's give something. Comes again the Ramah, he says, I have a heter. What's the heter? V'keinim lo'yavid ma'isa. When is it mutter to, first he gives you the heter of ding, 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 when it's not an instrumental sound, a musical sound, or, clapping for the shear. But then the Ramah says, v'kein, I have a heter. What's the heter? If you make noises, if you didn't do any ma'isa, L'chein, those that koyer the chavreim, they call their friends and they whistle to them. Mitzavtevim kimoit tzipor, like a bird, right? Mutter lases b'Shabbos. So when the next time your Bobby tells you you're not allowed to whistle on a Tuesday, right? You start telling you, how can it be? The Ramas is first that you're allowed to whistle even on Shabbos. Right? I don't know the answer, but but when my kids whistle, I tell them we don't whistle. We pfeifnished. We don't do that. Right? Goyim pfeif. I don't know. You won't. What? The Nazis. I don't know. You mean before the Nazis? But there were no shadim before the Nazis, right? Sorry? Democrats. What was before that? Anyways, I don't know the answer to this question. What was, the answer?
The Nazis didn't invent whistling.
Right. So no, he's trying to say we don't know at what point Bubby got angry about it. That's all we're trying to figure it out. But anyways, Tachlis Karet. It's hard for me to say this kula, so we're left without any kulas, right? Derech Agav, the Aruch HaShulchan, he's the opposite of me. The Derech HaShulchan, maybe it's a shtickle raya. You see, even in the Vardik, before the war, they were whistling, right? Derech HaShulchan over here in Siman Shin Lametes, he says, what's the chiddush of the Ramah? Well, he has a kasha like this. Are you allowed to sing on Shabbos? Litvak, are you allowed to sing on Shabbos? You ever hear the Kabbalah Shabbos in some of these Litvish shuls? Sounds like a Levaya Gevin, And are you allowed to sing on Shabbos? So the Aruch HaShulchan says, nobody ever had a meaning you're not allowed to sing on Shabbos, right? Nobody ever had a meaning you're not allowed to sing on Shabbos. So what's the chiddush? You're allowed to whistle. That's the Ramaz, that's the Aruch HaShulchan's kasha. Like, you're allowed to sing on Shabbos. There's no isser of, like I said before, musical sounds. That's not true. You're not to sing on Shabbos. You're not allowed to make a musical sound al yedei a maisa. That's the idea. Al yedei an instrument, al yedei your hands, or al yedei banging or whatever. So because of this, the Aruch HaShulchan says a chiddush. That's this gewaltige chiddush. Taka the Shabbos bothered me also. Like, why didn't anybody say you can't sing on Shabbos, right? There are some litvaks that are machmir, right? So the Ramah says, the Aruch HaShulchan says, where was the Aruch HaShulchan? Zion. A lot of times I'll be going back and forth. I'll try to remember, if ever I make a mistake from Shin Lamches, it's in one of those two simanim. In Shin Lamches, Siv Zion, he brings down, Afapi Shiba'isa, ain't a moving klal. Ain't no moving klal, Sivav. Ain't a moving klal. This is not to verstehen b'klal. My kamashmalon. Hinei shira b'per loy nesra klal. Rak shira b'kli. The only thing you're not allowed to do is either an instrument or al yedei, not a musical instrument, but an instrument to make a musical sound. What's the word? A medium to make a musical sound, right? Oy begufay, or with your finger lach. Valzeh, oy and that's what the Ramah says in Blayov and Maisa, Shari. The Ramah himself says that if you did a Maisa, if you don't do a Maisa, it's mutter. If you do a Maisa, that's when it's usher. Kloimar, Mishari b'peh, but loy Maisa. It's like singing, then came my kamashmalon, that you're allowed to whistle and sing like a bird. So he brings down a chiddush here. He brings some of the Makoradin, he brings some Meshulti Gibarim, and he wants to say like this. He says, El kloimar tzif tzif zeh mana b'shir pshita shemutter. There's no shayla that's mutter. Okay? Hare kol shir b'pez mutter. Anything with your mouth is mutter. V'lchein nearly a pirish. So I think the pshat is like this. Had sifsuf hare regila matzin et spoil toch piv beinas v'sayim v'shinai. Derech agav, all those guys that were never able to do it when they were younger? Who in this room can't do it? I can't do it. And you're always, it's a pella. My brother, they could do, everybody in the family could do it except for me. So here the Aruch HaShulchan, he teaches you how to do it. I'm borrowed. The Aruch HaShulchan was, he was that brother. Right? The Aruch HaShulchan says, "V'nearly b'tzivzef haregil nasim etzbay l'toich piv beinas v'sayim v'shinoyim." You have to put it between the lips and the teeth. I was always called away by the tonsil. V'yidei kein yotzei akol ketzipra. I gotta try to do it. Okay, but then you can whistle away like a bird. V'zer ribusa davagad b'yad aser. Even though so this is the chiddush. The chiddush is now it's a gevaldik kula. I saw there Rabbi Menashe Klein. He doesn't agree with Aruch HaShulchan. He says you can't take your fingers in your mouth and then make the sound with the fingers together with the whistling. That's no different than clapping and popping and knack. But Aruch HaShulchan argues on that, and the vada you can be saying on Aruch HaShulchan. What Aruch HaShulchan is explaining is like this: when you whistle stam with your mouth, that's not called a maisa. I guess it's mitziacha kolkuloi to your mouth, and it's not mitziacha to again. I'll by marchiv the Havan in a moment, but to a banging or to a sound that's coming, are you there clapping and a banging and a dust and whatever. But mashen came when it's just a melodic noise that comes out of you, that's mutter. It's mechadish Aruch HaShulchan. So regular whistling, there's no chadish in the world. Of course, that's mutter. He says, but the chiddush is when I take my fingers. He says that's called misayeya. I guess that's his avana over here. Hachashari biyada eino isa maisa. Kanira, the way it works is really the whistling is being done the mouth and the later. This is just like projecting it or something. I don't know. Hayad eina ela kadeshat sifs of yale yofe. It directs it or something. Later, I guess the guys that know how to do it, they'll explain it to us afterward. But that's what he says. So he said that's mutter on Shabbos. It's got a shtickle meduyik. What is a shtickle meduyik? What's the dig? But no, what's the diak? The Ramah is shtickle meduyik like the Aruch HaShulchan, because the Ramah says that the people that they call their friends through whistling. Why do you have to say that case? Right? Why can't you just say the people that whistle like a bird? Right? Why does he have to say the case that they're calling their friend? That's how it goes. No, most people when they call their friends, right? Usually when I call you, I don't just whistle. The guys that know how to do it, right? Yeah, those guys. Yeah, but you have what I'm saying? It sounds like he's putting fingers into his mouth. So the Aruch HaShulchan says that's the chiddush. The Aruch HaShulchan that's mutter. What?
Whistling to your friend is like clapping without a rhythm.
Come again?
Whistling to a friend is like clapping without a
No,
rhythm.
so that anyways is a chiddush. No matter what, the Aruch HaShulchan. Tafman Zagin. He says bishir, ein malasah. No, I don't want to do it because we're not allowed to fight. But he means like, you know which one I mean, right? I don't want to do it, but you know exactly which one I'm talking about. And that's like a niggin. No, that already gives you, it's very important what he's asking about Hershel, because it gives you a little bit of fun of what's already considered a niggin. What's considered, I kept saying ding, 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 right? And that's mutter, right? And clapping is mutter. But once you start clapping to a beat, right, all together, that might be a problem. That's ish ladmas. Okay. Mm-hmm. He's the first. You mean he's talking saying it would be aser? Otherwise, Shabru is not like that, really. That's not like the. I mean, it's not the Aruch HaShulchan. It's not like the Mishabur either. No, Mishabur just says. Even if you do it like a shear, it's mutter because they weren't geyser. Hechi de ovid bepeh. Well, no, that is the Magen Avraham. Why? What? He says even if he does it like a shear. Yeah. No, but he doesn't say because he doesn't say like you. He says because like gazru bepeh. He doesn't say because you're calling your friend and you're not miskavin the clay shear. He says because you are not doing a maisa, you're only using your peh. Sorry.
Something to be whistling the song.
That's for sure mutter. That's for sure mutter. Now Menashe Klein says not like this. He has a tshuva in Daled Nun Hey. In Daled Nun Hey, he has a tshuva. He wants to say that no, attack is also if you put your fingers into your mouth. But okay, it's not. Mishabura, I'm not sure. I don't see why the Mishabura. I don't see a reason to believe the Mishabura argues on this. I feel manim akol ke'ein shir shari the loy gazru hechi de avid bepeh. Here, I mean, it doesn't stress the finger. What? No, that's not the chiddush. The ke'ein shir just means lafuke that he's not just whistling like come here. I don't want to do it because I don't want to whistle. But you know what I mean, you know? But he's doing like a whole niggin. This person, he's got like a ganze, ka'echsov totzachepes to us. I don't know. I hear a little bit. The Olam is asking me that the Mishabura Taka leaves out the Iker words over here. According to Aruch HaShulchan, the Mishabura leaves out the Iker words. No, the loy gazru bezeh heichad the avid bepeh. According to the Mishabura, the Iker words are. According to Aruch HaShulchan, the Iker words should be consistent with the other. The Iker is that they weren't geyser. Okay, I'm not sure. It's one of those things you have to adopt. Mistama, it's Xavier the Rabbanon. Kefilazach on the Aruch HaShulchan. Aruch HaShulchan also has a very good kasha. You mean there's a mahalach to do it with a nut? But the shell is muksa. What do you mean? What are you talking? What, you miyached before Shabbos, so then once you miyached, that might be a kli that's miyuchad for klei shir. If it's on Shabbos, so then you have to faint because you touched muksa. What? What are you using?
Using a pistachio shell.
But there's no pistachio in it. That's muksa. That we saw from the Pri Megadim, he said that even according to Magen Avraham, you have to put it down as fast as possible. You can't start singing the Star Spangled Banner. Oh, forgetting about muksa, yeah. Forget 97 sure. I can't forget 97 sure. He wants to know, so there must be other things, like let's say, it must be like a knife or something, I don't know, a fork or whatever, a spoon. Empty beer bottle.
No, that's not Indima.
Okay, you know what? I see I wasn't prepared for this. I have to think about this. No, it's talking very big. The empty beer bottle, apparently he can do unbelievable things with an empty beer bottle. I have to see. Okay, let's see. But let's go weiter a minute. Anyways, no, these are big shilos. Believe me, tomorrow I'll come back to it. Taka, what's with an empty beer bottle? That we have to talk about, right? There are people, they have all mahalchim. They take their hands like this. And it's, I have to talk about this. It's called boxing to a beat. Right? It's a whole zach. We have to talk about this, and tomorrow maybe I'll even demonstrate. But let's get there. No, what's that? The feed, what we're talking about there. Where's the sound being formed? You have to read the Aruch HaShulchan very well. I mean, it's a chan. You guys will see it today. Biyadai eina oisem maisa shir, shirasei hu bepiv. Vayad eina ella kidei that the tzifs of papeh yali yofel l'chein mutter. This is a very big chiddush. Okay, we have to come back to this. I just want you to know where we're headed over here. Okay, so let's go weiter. Okay, let's get a little bit of the sugi first. So in Shidlan test though, it says you also can't dance. Why can't you dance? Why can't you dance? Okay, so it seems to be that in the times of Chazal, that's what Shabur explains over here. It seems to be that it was accompanied by a klei shir. Dancing was accompanied usually by a klei shir, let's say, right, or even today, right? And then what happens when I'm going to be dancing? And I'll be, what's the matziv? I'll be dancing, and then maybe you have to worry that he'll want to fix the klei shir because it needs to be tuned or whatever. So you're not even allowed to dance because dancing is accompanied with an instrument. Somebody's going to come along and say things like, I don't know how to fix klei shirs and that. So we tell him, there's a yid that he's allergic to, let's say, milk and meat. And if he has milk and meat, or he has meat. If he has meat, cow meat, he dies. right? He's allergic to cow meat, dead. Okay, so now in him, what was the reason Chazal asked her to milk and chicken? Because if you have milk and chicken, you'll come to have milk and meat, right? It's a lot of xeris. You have milk and meat, chicken, which is cold. You'll come to have milk and meat, which is cold. If you have milk and meat, which is cold, you'll come to have it when it's hot and when it's cooked together and whatever, okay? But I'm allergic to meat. So this guy says, it's not negay of me, so now I can have milk and chicken. Because for sure, no matter what, it'll never come. He's a joker. He's a total joker. He's no shaykhis. What are you talking about? Chazal were kaiser, and that's it. So over here also, dancing, Gamarnu. He doesn't know how to dance. He doesn't know how to fix instruments. I mean, he doesn't know anything. Who cares? The Maisa doesn't matter. What? He doesn't know how to play. He doesn't know anything. But it doesn't matter because Albert Geyser, right? That's what it says here. Okay. So now the Maisa, there's two Aterim. They're two Aterim in dancing. What are two Aterim in dancing? So right away the Mishnah Berurah brings down over here a Marik. It's over here and also Hilchas Simchas Torah that the Marik says that there's, because there's a lot of people that say different Aterim. Let's just see what it says. And the only Aterim that were found in the Shulchan Aruch, there's no Aterim. There's not much Aterim. I imagine the Sfardim are Seimach on the heter I'm going to say now. But the Marik, he comes along, he says, there's one special heter, that's Simchas Torah. Simchas Torah, you're allowed to dance. The Gemara doesn't say you're allowed to clap, right? He says you're allowed to dance. So in the Peladik Maisa, I had this diak one now in Simchas Torah I had this diak because I was looking into the Makairis. So Peladik Azach, this year, there were a lot of people that didn't dance on Simchas Torah because you couldn't hold hands and whatever, right? Yeah, by us, we'll see in a minute. But the Marik does it. In Hilchos Simchas Torah. Yeah, but the Marik doesn't say it. The Marik doesn't say it. The Marik doesn't say that you're allowed to dance, that you're allowed to clap. That's all I'm bringing out. The Marik says that you're allowed to dance. And he says, what's the reason why? He says, Kavod Torah. Because Kavod Torah, the Dainu, what would Simchas Torah look like without dancing? The way it looked last year. Like if anybody saw it, right? Sorry? So all the drasha that I gave to my shul about how this is how Simchas Torah is supposed to look and whatever, but we know the truth. It was only to make them feel good and only to give chizik and whatever. And that's the Kavod Torah and the matziv there. But could you imagine if you're able to dance and you're not dancing? I guess that's what those people held you had to dance and be mercy their nefesh for it and everything. But Lamaisa, it's definitely felt in the whole Kavod Torah, the whole Simchas Torah. There's no shayla. So the Mary comes along and he says that you're allowed to dance on Simchas Torah. The Pri Megadim brings down that the Shartzian in Tafrei Samach Tes, like is being mentioned over here. Tafrei Samach Tes is Hilchos Simchas Torah. He says l'chayra also clapping, not just dancing. Again, that the Marik doesn't say it. Very interesting. No, because this year I told everybody, I gave the drasha before, and then I said whoever is with his kids, he has to take his kids and bop them up and down on the chairs, whatever, just dance just with them. And anybody else, you have to clap. You have to clap, because something, you have to show your Kavod Torah. But this year, it's not like in the other years. We have the chaver that dance around and then those chaver that sit. Everyone knows what I'm talking about, right? They were the same guys in yeshiva. It's always the same. They sit. They become big masmidim. Punkt the mom is finishing Nazir and all other mesechtas and everything, right? Stein Mikra from Tafshin Gimel, whatever. Anyways, so I told him this year, everybody has to clap. Right? It's one of the evil ones, one of the non-clappers, who says to me, it brings the Marik, he also big Tamil Chacham, he says, the Marik says only dancing. It doesn't say anything about clapping. Okay, so the Shartzian says clapping. Now, but this is, because Kavod Torah, that means the only heter to dance, you guys are listening, right? The only heter, everybody, I don't specify anyone over here. The only heter to dance on Shabbos, Medina the Gemara, now let's rephrase that. Medina the Gemara and Mishnah, there's no heter. Comes again the Marik with an awesome chiddush. That means, I don't know, I guess until the time of the Marik, I don't know what they did later. But until the Marik, so the Marik came along with a gavaldik chiddush, Simchas Torah, you're allowed to dance. Kavod Torah, Simchas Torah, you're allowed to dance. But it sounds like for any other mitzvah, this mamish like a regular Issa D'Rabbanan. Okay, so what are the heter is there? So clapping kalachar yad, you can't dance kalachar yad. Some people do, but you can't dance kalachar yad. So comes again the Shulchan Aruch and he says ulasape kalachar yad moter. Everyone thinks, is this real? The clapping like this and whatever. And everyone says, yeah, but I get used to doing that during the week. Well, that's kalachar yad. That's not normal. That's not normal. There's no shy. You guys don't realize we're so used to this. Can you imagine what would happen if a guy would see this? He wouldn't believe what he's seeing, right? As he eats his chicken and milk burger, right? Why is there a heter of kalachar yad? It's a peladik ma'isa. Came out in the rest of the Gans Melachas Shabbos. You don't have this thing. Where else did we have it? No, who remembers? In Losh we had a heter of kalachar yad. In Teichen we had a heter of kalachar yad. Where else do we have a heter of kalachar yad? Anywhere else? Muksa. 97 years ago. Muksa, there was a heter of kalachar yad. Okay, the Chazon Ish held not like that. right? Okay, so there was a Tehrim of Klachat. So now there's another place where they had to Klachat. I guess it was so extreme to not be able to dance and clap. So Chazal understood your necessity, and they let you dance. They let you clap Klachat. So that's it. Maisa. Okay, so let's go to Baina. No, now we should go weiter. That's it. I don't know. Me? Yeah. But I don't know. What? So why did he have to say Simchas Torah? Why did Marik have to say Simchas Torah? What? Maybe, look at the Lashon of the Mishnah Berurah. Mishnah Berurah says, Ubiyoyim Simchas Torah mutter. Why can't the Mishnah Berurah say, Ubiyoyim Shemisayim Mesachter or something, of Shach? He used to describe what it was in Slobodka when there would be a siyum. He said that in Slobodka when there was a siyum, it's mamish, there would be, people would put on the yontif clothing. There was no tachanun. Right? That one you hold up, right? But there was no tachanun, and there would be a yontif. It would be a yontif, mamish. Okay, so why there were siyums back then, right? So why didn't the Mishnah Berurah say not just Simchas Torah? You should say anytime there's a covenant Torah, if a Rav comes, or if there's a great drasha, you want to sing for him or something. It sounds like it's only Simchas Torah. He says because on that day mutar l'raked, you're allowed to dance. Mishum she'oimrim kalusim. That means praise and everything. The Torah mishum covenant Torah. It's only a Shabbos. Aval b'shar simcha shel mitzvah. You hear this Mishnah is unbelievable. But no other mitzvah you're allowed to dance. Not nesuin, not chasanas, not sheva brachas, aser. The gam l'kovet haTorah ain't a kedai ela tipoch v'rikud, but not pamoyin and v'zagim. You can't bring out bells and start, clapping and bopping. You can't start with tambourines and all types of zaken. No way. No flutes and no organs and all that. No way on Simchas Torah. The only thing is clapping and dancing and nothing more than that. That's it. And only Simchas Torah and nothing else. Right? That's it. What? Oh, so now we have to see. I mean, what's considered dancing? What's considered dancing? But I'll make it worse. Nobody came along and said, okay, this type of dancing, yeah, this type. It sounds like, that's it, right? The truth is the chayr, we should just go weiter. We go to Baina. I said we're starting the big sugi this man is Baina, and so we'll start Baina, no? Right? It's just unbelievable. It comes out that Baruch Hashem that we're Zeichel, now we'll start Baina. No? Any Shiler? No. Okay. You want to get me water? What? If there's just any of the juice bottles there, I'll take. You don't have to go out. Anything, right? Just not the fizzy stuff. What? That's an unbelievable kasha. He's right. Why is the guy sitting there away? What? It's unbelievable. I never thought of that shaila. I must have learned this 50 times. I never thought of shaila. Why is the guy playing music? He's right. Perfect. I never thought of this kasha. Smamshik gewaltige kasha, no? Here's kasha. I never thought of this kasha. Why is the guy playing music? No one's allowed to dance. So Terence, you just have to have like that. Thank you. You just have to have like that background music, right? What? What a suffix brachas now. Yeah, take this. Take a little sip. Yeah. I have a suffix now. You can have more if you want. You'll drink? You'll pat to me, right? No, it's mamash gewaltige kasha, no? Rabbi Sher, what's the answer to this question? Why in the world did they have music in the background? Nobody's going to be dancing anyways. I don't know, but Feist Dice, you see from over here that when they have that background music to all the Goyish movies and everything, you have to be listening because it's a mefurish asif and shalach. Yeah. Amen. Chaim. What's that? No, not more cool. There's a heter of shvus to shvus. It's a special look there. It's a shvus to shvus. He's playing a musical instrument. Derech agav, he wouldn't be able to necessarily be doing. All right, there could be electricity. He'll be there abundant for a guy, but yeah, I don't know. Okay, so tachlis, we should go weiter. No, the only thing is that there's so many people that dance on Shabbos. No, but it's an unbelievable thing. Unbelievable thing. There are people that actually tell me, Rabbi Kallus, so you mentioned in the Velvus they meant this to dance in Shabbos is mutter? No, they meant his mutter? The Chassidus Rebbe's dance? Really? But the Mishnah, what about the Mishnah? Really? You know the Skalena Rebbe, did anybody ever see the Skalena Rebbe? You guys are too young. Right? You ever see him clap? How's he clap? Who saw him? Who just said he saw him? Who knows he? You saw him like that? What? This is how he used to clap. He used to clap? Why? Because it's a din in Shulchan Aruch. He never clapped like this. Did he dance? That I'll tell you soon. But he clapped. No, the Maisa, let's put it like this. If you tell me there's a reason to continue, then I'll give the share. But I would prefer to go to Baina. Is there anybody?
This room, dance like crazy.
They dance in this room?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's Mamish Begeder Agam Tich by Shimi Malka Abayis. Okay, so then we should talk. Okay, said there's a mezuzah in a weird place. So I don't know. Look there. This room might. But so we should explain it. Okay, so let's see the Ramah. Okay, you guys missed me, no? This is my Hakdama share to you. Okay, let's go to the Ramah. Comes again the Ramah, and the Ramah says like this. The Ramah gives an answer. What's the problem? Ha de misapkin umarakdina idna. When's a idna? In Krakow in 1570? No, he's quoting here from the time already in the Taisus' time. This is already 1,000 years old. They're reading this Mishnah and Gemara and saying the same thing. You're not allowed to dance on Shabbos. I had the misapkin umarakdina, and people dance today. The loy machinen bay, and nobody makes a machlah. So comes again the Ramah, and he says, Mishum, the mutav sheishoygegim v'ayim azidin. Because what are you going to do? You're going to tell them? You're going to tell them? What are you going to do? Why are you laughing? That's what he says. He says, what are you going to tell them? So they're not going to listen. And what's your so what's the alternative? Now, for the rest of their life, they're going to be Rishayim. Until now, they were just Nebuch. They thought it's like, it's a fakir, it's a Haimish. Yeah. But now, when they do it, now they're going to be Mamish Mazid, and they're going to be doing it with Avera. So just don't tell them. Oh, then comes again the Ramah, and he says like this, V'yeshayimrim, the Bisman Hazeh Hakol Shari. Yeah, some people take this Ramah for everything, right? Bisman Hazeh Hakol Shari. Everything is mutter. What does he mean? Everything is mutter. He means clapping and dancing. At the end, later on, he means, but not of course klei shir, not an organ and a violin or whatever. Why? Because einanu bekiyim basiyas klei shir v'leika lemegzer shem yisakin klei shir. Because we're not baki. Because we don't know how to make klei shir, and therefore the whole gzeira is batal. It's a milsa l'shchiach. And maybe because of this, they're makel on everything. Maybe because of that. Now, Maisa, this is a Taisvis. Taisvis already asked the Kasha 1,000 years ago. Taisvis asked 900 years ago. Taisvis asked the Kasha, what's the pshat that we see people dancing and clapping on Shabbos? So Taisvis says, you know what? Don't say anything. He doesn't say Yaltz Motiv. He says, because people aren't bucking. What was the whole gzeira? Why they said you're not allowed to use a klei shir on Shabbos? We're going to come to fix it. So today, people aren't bucking and fixing klei shir. And they decide, that's why it's loy shchiach klal. No, what's the kasha on this Taisus? First of all, before we begin, does the Ramah hold of this? Rabbi said, when I'm writing a sefer halacha, okay, and I want to know, there's thousands of people, thousands of from Yidden, what thousands? Probably Rav of the From community is clapping and dancing on Shabbos. That's what Taisus is telling us. Rav of the From people is clapping and dancing on Shabbos. It's against the Mishnah, it's against the Gemara, it's against everything in the world, right? So I want to come along now, and I want to say that why is it that people clap and dance on Shabbos? Why do they come and clap and dance on Shabbos? So I'm going to say, you know why? Because motiv sheishoygigim. And by the way, I found the sheet of Taisus. The Taisus answers that it's not a and there's no iser. What would you bring first if you were writing a sefer? You'd bring motiv. You'd bring. Taisus says, very simple today that we're not bucking klei shir. Chazal weren't geyser and gamanu. It's mutter. What are you making a rash for? It sounds like from the Ramah like this. If you read the Ramah, it not sounds like it's of course what the Ramah is saying. The Ramah says it's over. Mutter sheishoygigim, and that's the pshat. It's usher. They shouldn't be doing it. And if you tell them, they're not going to listen. So don't do it. Don't tell them because they're not going to listen. And it's better they should just go on in their shoygig. Then the Ramah goes on like as a limatzchos, as if to say, I don't want you to. You're going to come to a place and you're going to see that people are dancing and clapping and whatever. You're going to think that they're bad people. So on that, I'm going to tell you there's a yeshayimim in a Taisvis that says that since people don't know how to be masakin klei shir today, so therefore that's why people are dancing because the gzeira doesn't apply. It only applied at a time when they knew how to fix klei shir, and we don't. Therefore, they're not rishayim. After on this they were noyig. After this is what they were saimich on. But if you'd ask the Ramah himself, should I do it? What's the answer? Rather not, right? So I'm not. I want to go slow because I want you to realize, sometimes we'll see there are some coolers over here, but there's no shaila how the in the Shulchan Aruch aser, in the Ramah aser. Then the Ramah says you're going to walk into a shul, you're going to see them all dancing. You say, this is a Mishnah in Beya. What's going on over here? You're going to start screaming and everything, and they're going to throw you out of the table. So now he tells you, don't worry. There's saimich on a das of Taisvis. So what's wrong with this Taisvis? It sounds like a great Taisvis. We don't know how to fix klei shir today. So if we don't know how to fix klei shir, so then it's a great Taisvis. So then the whole takana doesn't apply, right? Yeah. What? Yeah. In Nagu? Yeah, nagu. Nagu. Also over here. Nagu, same thing. Same word over here. V'yesh al zeh nagu l'hakel. What does Levi mean? What? Okay. He's giving you a marmakim. Go look over there. That's where the Ekasugi is. That's not so sure. No, that's right. But I thought you were saying something else. There's a big diak in the Ramah. The Ramah has a sefer that he wrote, a catchy title. It's called the Chuvas of the Ramah. In the Chuvas of the Ramah, he writes over there, a big klal. You should know when I say noyagim, and when I say nagu, and when I say yesh, he says, when I say the word nagu, I don't mean that this is the right thing. I mean, this is what the people do, and I'm not, advocating it. I'm not advocating it. And there are rayas all over the Ramah, all over the place. Nagu, over here, he says this lashon, you see it very strong. After this is what they were noyag based on this. Behind it like this, again. If you ask the Ramah, mutter sheishayg again. Don't do it. Don't do it. Do you want to know, you go to a place and you see them doing it? So then don't think that they're Rishayim or Amaratzim. Maybe they hold like the sheet of Taisvis, which I do not hold of. And what's the sheet of Taisvis? Because it's loy shchiach, because people today don't know how to fix it. So therefore it's not mistaber that we'll have a problem. And that's why, now what's wrong with Taisvis? It sounds gewaldic, no? What? Sorry? Okay, but I guess it's loy shchiach klal. And I don't know, the truth is that the year 2021, the world's a little bit of a different place than Krakow was circa 1570. I mean, it's a little bit different. Let's leave it like that, right? Leave it like that. But it's a little bit different. But I don't know. What do you say? So what does this mean? If we're all allergic to meat and that's it, why you go to like the West Coast? It's probably you're not allowed to even have meat over there, no? They're not even allowed to kill animals over there, I think, right? So what? You're telling me that's it? They don't kill meat. So but ask more. Ain't based in Yachal Levatel. Everybody knows the klal. They ain't based in Yachal Levatel. Xer Elam Kain Yosef Gadol B'Chacham Meminian. There's no such thing. Chazal made it a kana, like the guy says. They had 1,000 reasons why. They're Megala, one of the reasons in Gemarnu. So what's going on? The Beis Yosef over here brings this down. He says, "What's this Pele Gedola? What is this? Basing can't be matir. Where with basing came in the time of Taisus and was big enough to say it doesn't apply today." Who's the Beis Din? There's no Beis Din that's that big that can do such a thing. Well, what's Pele Gedola? But Elamai. So Beis Yosef already asks, but we find already, what about by Nechashim, by snakes? We find already the Chazal made it to kana that you're not allowed to have kilo, you're not allowed to have a liquid which is open. Because if you have a liquid that's open, we're afraid that snakes are going to come in and they're going to put in poison and you could die or whatever. So Chazal answered anything that's open. No, so Maisa comes again the Shulchan Aruch and the Taisus or the Gemara came out. Today we don't have gilui. We don't have gilui. Why? Because we don't have snakes. So what? Chazal made it takana. It's true. They said the reason was because we have snakes, and that was the reason why they asked open liquids and etc. But I don't know. Chazal had 1,000 reasons, 1,000 kavanas. So where's the Beis Din Acher that came that was big enough to say that this takana is canceled? We don't say such things. So maybe you have a precedent, right? We know that nobody al pidin has to be makbid today on gilui, right? Okay, there are some people that are makbid. Okay, but what? Yeah, B'nai Brak, they're makbid, some Chassidim are makbid, some Sfardim are makbid. That's a large percentage of Klai, so Chassidim, Sfardim, and B'nai Brak. But okay, but it's not Medina. It's not Medina. The Shulchan Aruch says it's not Medina. Okay, it could be in Eretz Yisrael. It's a little bit more Medina because there's more snakes later. But so on this, the maybe you'll say, what's Takab Pshat by snakes? What's Takab Pshat by snakes? So one shot that they say is like this. They say that by snakes it's mamish lo shchiach klal. Is it lo shchiach klal to fix instruments? Okay, maybe. But they say a different shot, an easier shot. They say like this. Beis Yosef already says. He says when Chazal were geyser on liquids of gilui, within the original takana there was a rabbinic dispensation. There was a hagbala of there was a kula. What was the kula? Originally, when they made the gzeir. When Chazal made the gzeir originally, they said there is a mister of gilui unless it's a place that doesn't have snakes. Let's say you lived in a city back then that didn't have snakes. So it says Mefurish in the Gemara that if you have a place that doesn't have snakes, they weren't geyser in that place. Okay? No. So comes along the place and say very simple pshat. The world has turned in. It's not the pshat that this is the original takana is chai v'kayim. And if you go to probably like Africa now, where you guys are from, right? Right? Is more here? Right? Okay, later. Right? No, but go to Soweto or wherever. Right? You know what I'm talking about, right? So if you go to a place that there are snakes, fine. The world has turned into, it's not a kula that the Beis Din has canceled the original takana. It's that the whole entire world, let's say you say that in the times of Chazal, in Tel Aviv, there were no snakes, right? Let's say, right? So then in the times of Chazal, in Yerushalayim, you were not allowed to have the water overnight, or not even overnight, I shouldn't say overnight. The Bell thinks it's overnight, nothing to do with overnight. It's even for a second, whatever it is, as long as the snake can get in. But so in Yerushalayim, you were not allowed to have water that was left open for a few moments, and in Tel Aviv you were. So now the whole world, I'm not saying it, the whole world didn't turn into Tel Aviv. In other words, the other way, let's say in Tel Aviv there was mamish the problem with the snakes and everything it does, and in Yerushalayim there was no problem, right? There's no problem, there were no snakes, right? So now the whole world turned into Yerushalayim. So it's not the pshat, Beis Din Acher, you need another Beis Din to come and be mat there. This was the original takana. Now the Ganser Welt became a place like that. Does that have anything to do with our sugya? So if affect the Beis Yosef, does that have anything to do with us? So now people know how to fix instruments, so what? In the original takana, there was never a takana that said, you're not allowed to dance, you're not allowed to clap, unless you're in a place where people don't know how to fix instruments. So now you just want to go against the takana, you can't do that. You can't do that. Rav Moshe has a tshuva, very, very gewaldik tshuva. Rav Moshe has a tshuva in Chelik Beis, in Orach Chaim and Siman Kuf. Rav Moshe in the tshuva over there, he says, Bichlal, it's not doimet to nechashim. Very interesting, Rabbi Moshe. He says, what's the heter of nechashim? Stam, interesting. What's the heter by liquids that nowadays we don't have to worry and we're allowed to have them open? So he said, Beis Din can't come and Beis Din yachal levatal elam kein gadol men b'minyan and chachma, right? So Rabbi Moshe says like this. He says, what bichlal b'shat that Chazal made the gzeira on gilui, on not drinking the water? Why do we need Chazal for that? If there is a danger, because taka snakes can come in and put in their venom and put in their poison. So then there's a halacha of it. It's a pasuk in the Torah, "V'nishmat moed l'nafshe seichem," right? If "V'nishmat moed l'nafshe seichem" says that, you got to be careful. So what's going to happen? Avada, if there was really snakes, what do I need Chazal for? You have to have a brain, and not brain. It's a Torah already says. Bekitzav, "V'nishmat l'nafshe seichem" itself should tell you that you're not allowed to drink the water, because if there's a potential that snakes come in. What was it like back then? Was Corona, like some people with the masks and nishta masks and whatever, so they couldn't leave it up to everybody. Right? Pashtus back then, Chazal came along and they said what? They said, be worried about the snakes? The Torah says if there are snakes, Elamai, there's no snakes. So what the world will Chazal want? So he says, Moshe says, suffice to chayis, that the percentages to warrant a zahiris of Nishmartim L'nafshe Seichem, I'm not giving the real numbers now, but let's say conceptually, if there's like a 10% chance that there's going to be a snake, let's say, whatever the number is, right? A higher level chance, obviously not 90%, right? But even if there's a 10% chance, then the Torah already would require you from Nishmartim L'nafshe Seichem not to drink this water. But came along Chazal, and they said, even though there aren't 10% snakes, there's only, let's say, 5% snakes. I don't know, right? So now, Chazal said you have to worry about 5%. So what did Chazal say? Chazal Kivyachol took it and put it into V'nishmartim moed l'nafshe seichem. Then V'nishmartim l'nafshe seichem told me I would only have to worry when it would be 10% snakes. Came along Chazal and they said, what? No, you even have to worry when there's 5% snakes. Gewaldik. So now comes along Rav Moshe. So he says, so today we don't even have 5%. We have 1%. So we don't have the whole takana. The Gans Takana, explains Rav Moshe, that Chazal made, was that they said, this is also included in V'nishmartim l'nafshe seichem. This is also, not just 10%, even 5% of them, Zak Rav Moshe. But let's say the world turned into a place where it's 1%. There's only 1% of the world has snakes, right? So that it's not at all in V'nishmartim l'nafshe seichem. So if it's not at all V'nishmartim l'nafshe seichem, say bezoi. That's why the Beis Din didn't come along and be mevatel it, but the takana was never said in such a case, right? Says Rav Moshe. So that has nothing to do with the case of a klei shir. The klei shir, stam a takana. Chazal came along and said, don't use klei shir on Shabbos, don't clap on Shabbos because you're going to come to fix it. It has nothing to do with percentages. They stam made a takana. And Moshe himself goes on. And I want to talk about Rav Moshe right now. I just want to tell you what he says. Moshe goes on and he wants to say his own chiddush here. It's a murdik chiddush. He says maybe what Taisus means is there's like an anan sadi. What does he mean? That within the original takana, when Chazal were geyser, don't use a klei shir, right? But there was like a anan sadi that if Lu Yitzur, there would come a time when people don't have the knowledge of fixing klei shirs and things like that. And I'll add something to Rav Moshe. And you come to a time when you see everybody's doing it, I'll say it even stronger. And you don't see people that are actually fixing klei shear. So like there's an Anan Sadi in the original Takana, which says that we only were geyser b'kai gavna that people fix and that it's a problem. He's a chedushin. That's what Moshe says. It's a big chiddush. And it's according to that, maybe that's pshat taisis. When do I need a beis din to be mevatel it if there's no Anan Sadi? So let's say somebody wants to come along today and he wants to say, hey, you know what? Let's take away muksa. It makes life very difficult and whatever. And that no beis din could be big enough to be mevatel the beis din, which made muksa, or chicken and milk. No beis din is big enough to be mevatel that, right? But let's say there's an Anan Sadi that it's muchach in the original takana. The Chazal were concerned with this, and that they never would have said it b'kai gavna that it's going to cause roiv of Klal Yisrael to be a varyanim or something like that. So then there's an Anan Sadi that they wouldn't have made the gzer. But this is a tremendous chiddush. What? I don't know the answer to your kasha. His kasha is that if there's an Anan Sadi, so I don't know the answer. He says if there's an Anan Sadi, but I just told you there's 1,000 reasons in Chazal we're only begot. This doesn't go with that. This doesn't work with that, right? I don't know. Maybe the Anan Sadi is that Chazal wouldn't have been geyser if they would have seen that everybody's being geyser. To be mash for Klal Yisrael and to Varyanim, and the Iker reason they did tell us, I don't know. What? Times of Chazal, Tzvir didn't have these anhagas. These anhagas came over the years. The Taka didn't come until the times of Shpei Aleket and later. There's no Shulchan Aruch that says you can't dance during Tzvir. It's a Mishnah Berurah brings down. It's not the Shulchan Aruch. So this is it. Okay. Tachlis Geret, the Beis Yosef and the Ramah argue. Tachlis Geret, the Beis Yosef and the Ramah hold that you can't be Saimach on Taisus. The Ramah argues, the Beis Yosef, the Ramah just brings down that if you see somebody doing it, don't think he's an Avarian, there is a sheet as Taisus. And what's the Maisa? What's the Maisa? The Mishnah Berurah himself says, he says in Sivkat and Yud, he says, Hai lahakil bakoil, is going on clapping and dancing, but not obviously on using instruments. And then he says these words, even clapping and dancing, that the Ramah is saying, you walk into a town and you see them dancing. He says, don't start with them, leave them alone. He says that's only b'makim mitzvah. Only b'makim mitzvah. Ein kedai laniach on minig shaloi b'makim mitzvah. Let's say you're in your house, and let's say you walk into somebody's house. I don't want to make him into a chassidische fellow, so you think it's like anti-Semitic or something. You walk into a house of somebody, he's wearing a beaver hittel, okay? And you see there he is, and he's dancing with his children. You say to him, what are you doing? It's a Mishnah, it's a Gemara. What are you doing? You can't dance at Shabbos. He says, no, come on. Already. The Ramah already says that for you it's motiv sheishayigin, but we're not saimach on that. We have a minig. Our minig is we hold like Toisus. Says, and then the Ramah says, leave them alone and don't think they're varyanim. So now you have to tell them, no, that's not true. One moment. What? That's not true. The Ramah says the only time you should allow for the minig is b'makim mitzvah. Even that minig that you see them dancing and clapping and everything, right, is only what? Is makim mitzvah. In other words, in the first place, it's not the pshat. You're not allowed to be saimich on a sheetas tais, which is the shver. I'm just explaining first. I'm going to get to all this, Nasi. Don't worry. Don't get nervous. But, you're not allowed to be saimich on a shver taisis, right? So what's the pshat? The Torah says you first of all can't be saimach. How could they even be saimach? Why don't I have to scream? They're moving books. No, you don't have to scream because there is a taisis. It's a shasat chak. What's a shasat chak? Because they have to do the mitzvah, and they feel they can't do the mitzvah without the dancing, whatever that's. So b'makim mitzvah says the Mishnah Berurah, you can be saimach on that shasat chak. Excuse me. B'makim mitzvah, you can be saimach on that sheetas taisis. Yeah, kill them. Yeah, I have here. 1 second. Yeah. You want to sing or? Yeah. Don't come back without blood, Davi. Yeah. No, but what's he saying? What's Taisa saying? What's the Mishnah Berurah saying? He's saying this, you can't, the very important, Rabbi said, we're going to get, probably it looks like tomorrow, to what the Torah really are. But the way you have to learn the Mishnah Berurah, what the Mishnah Berurah is saying over here is, you can't stand be saimich on a fakach and a shita, some far out shita on a shita, which is a das yachid. This Taisus is a das yachid. The Beis Yosef is against this, the Ramah is against this. You can't be saimich on a das yachid, right? Elamai, if you see people being saimich on this, when? Not always, says the Mishnah Berurah. From the Ramah, you would have thought, if ever you see people being saimich on this, don't say a word. It's fine. Leave them. They're not b'shayim. The Mishnah Berurah says, no, it's not kedai to be saimich if you see this. It's not kedai to be saimich if you see this unless it's not kedai to be saimich unless what? It's not kedai to be saimich on this unless it's a makom mitzvah. So now it's a shasat chak because it's a mitzvah. I can't do the mitzvah properly without it. And they're being saimich on a sheet of taisvis. So now you walk into this guy's house and he's dancing with his kids. You walk into his house. What? Sorry? I'm saying you walk into the tish. You walk into the tish and you see them dancing. So now you say, listen, it's a shatzat chak, it's a makom mitzvah. The saimich on the sheet of tais is makom mitzvah. What? Wait, slow. The Chasam Sofer says it's the first mitzvah to be happy. Chasam Sofer says the first mitzvah after the bar mitzvah, first mitzvah. You tell the child, you be mekaven to have simcha, the first mitzvah. But slow. It could be happy without dancing, right? I'm happy right now, I'm not dancing. Right? Let's see. Right? And I go, sometimes when I'm dancing, I'm not happy. Okay, but slow. 1 second. What? Slow. We're getting to. No, today I'm just reading the literature, just literature. But comes in the Mishnah Berurah, he says, so if you go to the tish and you see them dancing, so don't say anything, because that's their saimich on the sheet of taitzis, it's a shasachat. But let's say now you go into his house and not during Zmiris. No, see, not during Zmiris. You see him come in his house and he's like dancing around. He's dancing around. You ask him, why are you doing that? There's a Ma'aser Shaya once. I saw this. There he was, dancing around. Why was he dancing? Was it? What? No, so I'm saying, so now he says, if you ask him, he says like this, we dance on Shabbos. If he tells you that, don't drink his wine. Let's say a person tells you, I don't hold of muksa. I don't hold of muksa. He's allowed to drink his wine. No, cheeseburger, he would be allowed to drink his wine because he's not a Mechal Shabbos. And also he holds like Rabbi Yosef Glili. But let's say he tells you, I don't hold of muksa. What do you mean you don't hold of muksa? I don't hold of muksa. Right? I shave my head, so does my wife, but I don't hold a muksa. Right? So what do you have to do? Well, you have to kill him. Could you drink his wine? Not if it's not mavashal. Pasteurized? Shaila. Right? You understand what I'm saying? I'm not being difficult. So if this guy comes, he says, you see him dancing. Now, if he tells you, like the Olam is saying over here, it's a mitzvah and simcha, this, okay, whether I believe it or not, but maybe you could drink his wine, right? But let's say he says, we dance on Shabbos. So what did he just say? You understand? Tomorrow I get to Heterim. I didn't know it would take this long, but just understand what it says here. What it says over here. If he tells you, we dance on Shabbos, so what do? Right? You have to make Kiddush again.
Semantics, what he's saying. It's nothing. He's saying we dance on Shabbos. Why is he dancing? Go to the root of why he's dancing.
His father dances, and Shul
dances. He's trying to do his kids simple.
Okay, but let's say you tell him. Let's say you tell him. You would dance no matter what. I had this experience once. He said, "We dance. That's it. That's it. We dance." He said in Yiddish, so it sounded more like official, right? But I was mistaken. I have to make Kiddush again. Right? No, it was a big suffix. You have to make Kiddush again, right? But then I saw that it was pasteurized. That's why I said pasteurized, a big shiloh, but okay. Now, I didn't say anything today, right? Derech Agav, the yes for Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld. Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld in Kuf Chav Daled. That's it. Oh, because we don't have the clock. We got to get a clock or it's going to be good. What happened over here? Oh my goodness, we didn't do anything. No, this is great. Mom's nothing. What? That happened one time last month also. This is crazy. Mamish got nowhere. Let me say one more thing. I don't know. We didn't do anything today. What happened over here? Right? Because you came a minute late, right? Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld in Kuf Chav Daled. Where are you going to look? It's in the back. Don't worry. Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld in Kuf Chav Daled. They asked Yosef Chaim like this. They asked him, listen to the kasha. They asked him, let's say you see somebody dancing with his kids. That was his case. So let's say you see someone dancing with his kids, right? So should you tell him? What was the Shabbos? Should you tell him you're not allowed to dance on Shabbos, right? So and the person, the shoyel, based it on two things. He said, first of all, let's say first of all, this guy's a makabel. He's the type of person that when you tell him halacha, he listens. One case, right? Or he says, let's say even if not, but let's say there's a suffix he'll listen. Let's say that guy, you tell him, look, anybody is a firm guy, you tell him you're not allowed to dance. I don't think you should start Bali Tshuva with this. I don't think the first thing we should tell them is that, first of all, Rav Aaron Kotler heard you can't shave with a shaver. And the second thing you tell them is baby wipes. And, the third thing, what else are we going to tell them? Let's wait. Let's tell them good stuff about, tell them about Cholent and tell them that you have no idea what Cholent is and Shamisera and whatever. Tell them Gishmaka things in Yiddishkeit. Tell them about the mikvah on Erev Shabbos, Yushami, Kugel, afterward. But now, so you get this guy from guy, he's dancing. So he asks Rav Yosef Chaim, should we tell him you're not allowed to dance and clap on Shabbos? Because it's a suffix. So what's a shayla? Because in Halacha Hilchas Yom Kippur, if you have a suffix on mutiv, so it's a big shayla. Because on the one hand, there's a chance that he's going to be amazed the rest of his life. On the other hand, maybe he'll do tshuva and he'll never do it. So what do? Do you take the chance? So the halacha over there is yes, you have to tell him and not take, even though he might wind up being amazed. So Rav Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld answered back like this. He said, Pshita de Bailamag. Of course you have to tell him. Dinah, what is he saying? He's saying the way we learned today. That the Ramah is telling you that the din is that you're not allowed to dance and clap on Shabbos. Unless you see, now, if you see somebody doing it and it's a makkah mitzvah and a shasat chak and whatever, so then don't say anything. Why? Because they're saimach on a shitas taisus. On that, the Mishnah Berurah said, even that is only if you see him b'makkah mitzvah. If you don't see them b'makkah mitzvah, they're clapping and dancing shaloi b'makkah mitzvah. So now they don't even have the taisus. So all they have is motiv. Now if it's motiv, so motiv has the rules of motiv. What are the rules of motiv? The rules of motiv is a from guy, you got to tell him. Kavachayim, if he actually could potentially be makabel, but even if you have a suffix, adkan. Now the only shayla is that, so then what's the pshat? So adkan, if you ended the shir today, the shir is over. So that's it. So then if Shabbos would be tomorrow, so then if you go to a tish, so you guys, so some of you have the minig. Then if you have the minig of dancing on Shabbos, some of you have the minig, right? So any of you, so the ones that have the minig, they would be able to dance and clap. And the ones that don't have the minig would not be able to walk into bells and start screaming and whatever. It's also probably kind of fashion. But al kapanim, if you see that fellow dancing stamasoy, so then you have to tell him. Adkan the shir. Right now the shayla is there a necessity tomorrow to continue, or we should just go into Baina? Huh? Just go to Baina, no, that's it. I mean, that's kind of the literature on the page. Should I tell you what the limud is tomorrow? No. What do you say? Levi, what do you think? What? A month? No, there's one more day. That's it. No games, right? No games.
We discussed the dances.
What? And we also didn't discuss the different types of dances, right? And there's also something else. They all say there's an Aruch HaShulchan. I want you to take a look at the Aruch HaShulchan. I won't read it now. The Aruch HaShulchan is in Shin Lamed Tes Siv Ches. Everybody says there's an Aruch HaShulchan. Sometimes you hear something, you think, okay, so nice that there's an Aruch HaShulchan. It's interesting. There's an Aruch HaShulchan about wearing hair covered. I remember when I was a kid, I always thought that there's an Aruch HaShulchan that's makel that you don't have to wear your hair covered. Then that's what the modern chaver, they're saimechan that they don't have to wear the hair covered. The ladies, not the men, right? So did anybody grow up hearing that? The Aruch HaShulchan's makel, right? Then you get a little older and you read the Aruch HaShulchan inside. The Aruch HaShulchan is in Siman Ayin Hey. He says like this. It's the most strongest in the Aruch HaShulchan wrote in Kala Tarkula. So it's the strongest in all 1,705 simanim and the strongest in all of his Aruch HaShulchan Asid. And he writes over there in Siman Ayin Hey that there's a terrible sapachas. Sapachas means cancer. There's a terrible plague in sapachas, and we should get up and we should moan and we should oi lanu, and he's screaming. It's a whole entire paragraph of him screaming and talking about the agnes nefesh and the agony and the terrible thing that ladies don't wear their hair covered. Terrible thing, and he screams about it. We should oi lanu into our eyes that have seen such a thing. How did it come in our door? Screaming. At the end of the paragraph, he says, but now that they do it, so therefore, if you're in front of a lady and you want to say divrei Torah or Kriya Shema, so now it became rugel. So therefore, it's not usher for you to say Kriya Shema in front of her or learn in front of her, daven in front of her. Does he say in that Aruch HaShulchan that she doesn't have to wear her hair covered? It's not mashma. It's not meduyik. So there's an Aruch HaShulchan. Here, this Aruch HaShulchan. There is an Aruch HaShulchan that says a heter on dancing. The others should see it. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Just a moment. I'll talk to you about it this year. That's it. Shouldn't have a test sivches. And then we have to talk about what Rabbi Blumenthal is talking about. Maybe there's a difference between what types of dances there are. Right? That's the difference. Okay, but again, today we just said what it says inside, and nobody should get nervous. They're not going to let you go into Shabbos without having your own Shabbos. I see you're getting nervous already, right? You're getting nervous. All right. Whoever needs chavrusas, come to me. I'm staying today. I'm going upstairs. I'll be there in a minute. Whoever's new or needs a chavrusa should come to me. I didn't say it's awesome yet. Yeah.